I will tell you in a minute.
Okay. Let's get
Let's
this.
get going here.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, guys. My third one today. Yeah, and don't forget, keep on following and keep on following Sean. Hello, Sean. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm okay. What's it like over where you are today?
It's actually kind of nice. I think we've got 10 degrees Celsius and sun, and the snow is melting, and everything's wonderful.
The last time when I was speaking to you, you were snowed in. Is that right?
That is true. Yeah, it's been not a particularly brutal winter here. It's been kind of okay, but I think that day was pretty bad.
That was bad. Yeah. Anyway, how you been? I just wanted to find out how you. I always try to catch up with people. How you been doing? And since we talked last time.
Pretty good. Things are on track. All the podcasts are coming along nicely. We're me and the fiance are getting a dog this week, and everything's good.
What kind of dog you getting? Any?
We're getting a what's it called? It's called a micro teacup Yorkie.
Ah, right. So you're getting a dog that's in a teacup.
Kind of. It's when we saw it, it was like this big. It's and I think it's only going to get like this big, maybe. So not very big at all.
Ah, in the UK they call them handbag dogs.
Yeah, yeah. It is. I probably can put it in my pocket and carry it around with me, and it's super tiny and super cute. And yeah, this coming Friday we get them.
So it's your partner looking forward to it then, is she?
Oh yeah, it was her idea. That's the brand she wanted, so that's what we're getting.
Right. Yes. We can't argue with our partners, can we?
It's a good idea not to, but I did get to pick the name, so there is that.
Okay. How are you getting on with your podcast?
Actually, 5 minutes ago, I just uploaded the latest episode of the Rusted Robot podcast, episode 329, Superman versus Godzilla.
What's that? So what's that about then?
We talked about the Justice League Snyder Cut that just came out. My buddy sent in a clip about the top 10 Godzilla fights, did a history of Superman, talked about some casting news, some celebrity deaths, the regular stuff.
Yeah, because you sorry, I've got listeners out there at the moment, and they're asking me what you're about. Can you introduce yourself to everybody out there
Of
and tell
course,
them
of
about
course.
you again?
Yeah, my name's Shawn Vanderloo. I'm from Canada. I'm living in Timmins, Ontario, but I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is 5 to 6 hours away. I host 3 podcasts: the Rusted Robot podcast, which has been going for 7 years, roughly, and it's all about geeky stuff. Then I do the Soul Forge podcast, which is all about life, living, stupid things we do for love, pretty much anything. And then the third one is hosted with me and 2 British guys called the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, and that's a little bit about everything as well.
Yeah. So with your kind of like all your podcasts and everything, do you ever talk very much about mental health?
On Soul Forge, we do. That's a big topic over there. Not every episode,
Yeah.
but quite a few of them.
Yeah. What do you think about mental health at the moment? What's been going on? Because there's plenty going on with the COVID at the moment, and hopefully very soon we're coming out of the COVID. Hopefully, and there's a lot of mental health.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody's mental health is suffering over the past year. I think we just had the 1 year anniversary of all the lockdowns and all the bad stuff there. So everything you see online is people freaking out, having just a horrible time with it. And we haven't seen our people. We haven't been able to hang out with friends, go out to dinner, do all the things that we're used to. I'm sure it's great for the environment and less pollution, but for all the people, we're all freaking out. we're tired of it, and
Mm,
we just want to go back to normal, whatever that means.
yeah, yeah. What would you do different then, if you were kind of like, if you were in charge of the government or in charge of the government, what would you do different?
If I was in charge of the government, let me
Yeah,
think. I would probably reduce all the wages for every politician in government, increase wages for the lower income people, like bartenders and servers and people who work at coffee shops and restaurants and all that kind of thing. Maybe flip it, reverse it. Um, what else would I do? Well, of course, we have the mask mandates in effect. We've got all that. I'd focus more on the environment and bringing people together as a community. I think I don't know how I would do that. I would hire a bunch of people to have like a committee and get it all done. But I don't know. I've never
yeah,
run for government. I don't know anything about it.
yeah. Um, in our country, we got Parliament, of course, and the all the kind of the councillors, MPs, whatever. They got second income. No, sorry, second homes, and and what happens is with that they claim their expenses, so not just their pay, they claim their expenses too for their homes. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. It's your house. You have to live there. You shouldn't get it taken care of as a government perk. Uh, we don't. We have to pay for our houses just like everybody else. So just because you're a politician and you run the country doesn't mean you're special.
Totally agree. And what they do is I've been on Twitter quite a lot of times and I've been chucked off Twitter. And what they do is in Parliament at the moment, when you sit down in Parliament, they get paid for £500, okay, for just sitting there for about a couple of hours,
Wow.
kind of. Yeah, honestly, truthfully. And and also if you kind of like look at the videos about the Houses of Parliament and when they're in Parliament, you can actually see MPs falling asleep. How
I,
about
I,
that?
I believe it. I believe it because it's probably boring as heck, right?
Yeah,
Government
yeah.
stuff.
But at the end of the day, what you've got to realise is that these MPs are representing our areas
Hmm.
and our interest. They're doing a job for us. They're doing a job for the people. So if you're the MP, if you went to an MP and said, right, I want you to kind of like mention this and help me, and if they went there and fell asleep, then you're and us the people are paying the government £500 to be there.
Right.
It's
That's
taking a mick,
ridiculous.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's not right. They should get fired
Yeah,
or
totally.
reprimanded or something. I don't know what exactly, but something for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about politics?
I don't think much about it. I avoid it. I don't know much about it. I should be more informed, but I'm not. I'm more of a geek, right? So that's what I focus on.
So are you interested in like Comic Con and stuff like that?
Yeah. I haven't been to one. Well, a smaller one here in Canada, but not the big one in San Diego. I'd love to go to that, but there's too many people, and I don't like big crowds. So
Right, okay. How many listeners you got at the moment on your podcast?
not enough. So if anybody is listening to me now and wants to check out my podcast, that would be awesome because you can never
Yeah,
have too
yeah.
many.
Tell people your podcast. Go on.
Yeah, Rusted Robot. Find it on everywhere you can find podcasts. Of course, Soul Forge podcast. That's the mental health one, and Cosmic Pizza. That's the one with the two British guys.
Two, why two British guys?
Because that's where they live, I guess.
Yeah, but why? What is it? Your friends of yours?
Yeah. We podcasted somewhere else. For another one of our shows, and our chemistry was so good we decided to create our own show together with the three of us.
All right, okay. And with your kind of like your podcast, the Forge one, how often? What kind of like stuff do you talk about? Do you talk about everyday life?
Yes, actually, I am just going to pull up my website for that, which is soulforgepodcast.com. And the last episode I did was an interview with a guy from Arizona. He has a podcast where he gets stoned and he interviews people. So I interviewed him, and I think he was stoned, and we talked about his life in the military, his addiction and recovery stuff. So there was that. The week before was talking about cancel culture. The week before that was talking to another guy about his strained relationship with his son. There was a movie review before that. Before that, I was talking about a car that I had just purchased, and then an interview before that with the King of Obsolete. He was a guy on a show about ice road trucking. So there's all kinds of random topics. It's different every time. I like to keep it mixed up. Sometimes it's mental health. Sometimes it's fun stuff. You never know what's going to happen on SoulForge.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, we have all different kinds of people on our shows and everything. When you're doing these, how do you find your guest?
Usually,
If someone's kind of like what it's set up now, so that like I've got somebody here now on my radio. It's saying here, "Hi Sean, my name is Donald. I'm from Chicago. If I want to set up a podcast, how can I go about it, and how do I get my audience?"
well, that's a good question. And on episode 104 of the SoulForge podcast, I talk about exactly that. It's called "Want to Start a Podcast." It's got all the information, everything that I went through, and I believe that's episode 104.
Right. Okay. Okay. So if they go on 104, they'll be able to do,
Right. Yes,
find
because
out.
I like SoulForge to be between 20 minutes and half an hour, so it's a nice bite-sized chunk. It just scratches the surface of a lot of topics. We don't go too in depth. That's for you to research on your own. So with SoulForge, we just cover certain things, not too far in depth, but a little bit. Sometimes it's more involved, but not always.
And get back to the question I asked before. How do you look for your kind of guest?
Usually they contact me. Sometimes it'll be a friend that I talk to, and they'll say, "Hey, can I come on your show?" Or sometimes I'll ask them. It's pretty random. People contact me out of the blue, out of nowhere sometimes, and say, "Hey, I'd like to be on your show." And the best way to do that is email soulforgepodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. There you go. So, and what do you want your? How far do you want your show to go?
I don't really have an end game for it. It's just something that I enjoy doing. I don't get paid for it, but I just love it. I love connecting with audiences. SoulForge is talking about things that people are afraid to talk about, mostly. And Roasted Robot, of course, is just your geeky pop culture news. So whatever's happening in the week for pop culture, like the Snyder cut of Justice League just came out, so I talked about that on today's episode. And with SoulForge, I just like talking. I just like connecting with the world at large.
Okay. I want to bring something up around. It was a couple episodes. Well, no, a few couple couple episodes past. Sorry, there was something about weight loss.
Oh yes, actually, that's I can't remember how long ago that was, but my fiance last year had gastric bypass surgery, so I talked with her about it, about her experiences and what she went through.
Right. Okay. And there was it some other time where you talked about weight loss?
You know what?
Um.
There's almost 200 episodes of SoulForge, so it's hard to remember
Yeah. Yeah.
everything. But
Yeah.
we did at least once for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. What do you think about people who are overweight?
What do I think about them?
Mm.
I think they're people. You know, everybody has their own struggles. Sometimes it's weight, sometimes it's mental health, sometimes it's shyness. It could be anything. People are people. Everybody's got
Right.
their
Okay.
own thing.
Okay. What do you think when people who does podcasts? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and because I'm a obesity campaigner, mental health campaigner. Um, when people kind of on the podcast and they really talk about people who is overweight in a really bad way, like shouting on the podcast saying that they're
Right.
fat.
Fat
people
shaming
who
and
are,
all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awful. Actually, that does bring up another episode that I did about weight. I called that episode, I think, last summer, "Fat Shaming Shenanigans," because here in town,
yeah.
that's the one you're thinking about, because there was a couple who were tattoo artists here in town, and they were the most in demand people, but they kept putting out almost like a video podcast randomly, and they did a bunch of fat shaming, and it was a huge controversy here in town. So I did an episode about the fat shaming people.
All right, okay. So, were you just when you did that? Um, were you actually kind of like trying to get your mom back on this couple, or were you kind of like,
From what I recall, it was me and a guest, and she's overweight, and she also went to these people as a client for her tattoos. So she had some things to say, and it was quite a controversial episode.
mm, mm, mm. Okay, totally, totally. Um, yeah, I'm glad I like talking to you because you're really playing, you just come out and as it is and everything, and all your programs are genuine and you say as it is. But the
Appreciate it.
trouble is with podcasts though, there's a lot of people out there who kind of uses podcasts to their own benefit by abusing people, which
True.
you don't like. What do you
No,
think
that's
about that?
I think that's awful, and it shouldn't be allowed to occur.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah, yeah. So do you think that people, the like Spotify and other places like that, should they kind of like look at the podcast and say that that's no good, get it off, because there's a lot of stigma out there, isn't it?
There is. I don't know how they could do that because they're such big companies like Spotify and all those other places, and freedom of speech. So you can pretty much say what you want. I think it's not necessarily a good thing, and I don't see how Spotify and the other companies could monitor that because there's just so many episodes. There's like 2 million podcasts, and if that's say even if that's 500,000 every week coming out, I don't know how they would hire people to monitor the
Mm.
content. So it's kind of the Wild West.
Surely you just said that about freedom of speech, and yes, we have got the freedom of speech, but when you got like podcasts out there at that you are abusing people,
That's not right.
that's not right, is it? And they should
Mm-mm.
be really looked into.
Well, people should just know automatically in their heads about themselves, like, oh, I shouldn't say this about somebody because it might hurt them. But there are bullies, and people don't care. So it's a tough world to live in.
Yeah, yeah. What are your aims on your podcast then?
World domination.
Real domination.
I don't know. I just want to help people. With Rusted Robot, it's just to get the geek information out there. With
Yeah, yeah.
SoulForge, it's to let people know that they're not alone, and that's why I talk about things that people don't talk about because
Okay,
it's important.
well done. Sean, if people want to contact you, how do they do it?
Let's see. Well, soulforgepodcast@gmail.com is one way. I'm on Twitter at Darth Vaderloo. That's my personal one. That's Darth Vader with LOO at the end because my name is Vanderloo, so it's kind of a play on it. What else? I'm at Darth Vaderloo on Instagram. What else? All the podcasts have their own Twitters as well. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's
Sean,
all on the links.
thanks very much for joining me. Thank you for the conversation. Really good. And you know, I just kind of like I just wanted to point something out that that with every podcast, everybody's going through a really bad time, and we should stick together instead of people kind of like spoiling our podcast. Do you agree with
Right.
that?
I totally agree with that. We should be a cohesive community.
Yeah, we should do, shouldn't we? Sean,
Definitely.
thanks once again for having a chat with me, and
My
thank you.
pleasure. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
There you go. Um, fat shaming should happen. Mental health shaming should happen. We can all kind of like do all the shaming, but at the end of the day, you're hurting people, and when you're hurting people, you know, you're hurting more people because it spreads. It's like a ripple effect. We should all come together as one and kind of like stop it all. Anyway, see you on the next episode. Bye bye for now.